Hello everyone, I'm Arindam Ghosh, an assistant professor in the Department of English, Krishna Chandra College, Hetampur, Birbhum. In the previous lecture, I have talked about the semantic change in the English language. I have talked about the evolution in the meaning system in the English language. In this present lecture, I will talk about the second section of the section A of Discipline Specific Elective 4, DSE 4 of the Baroman Universal Syllabus, that is the standardization of the English language. What is the definition of standardization and how it actually tremendously influenced the language system of English. If we look into English as a historical, from the perspective of the historical linguistics, we will discover that basically English language is a language with different kinds of variations and various varieties of the English language were popular throughout the Anglo-Saxon period and the Middle English period. Various dialects, regionalects, idiolects were very much popular during the Old English period and the Middle English period, and they were radically different from one another. একে অপরের সঙ্গে একটা বিপুল পার্থক্য থাকতো এই ধরনের বিভিন্ন উপভাষা. So what is basically language? Language is a system of communication. It's basically a system of science meant for communications between various communities of people. So communication is the fundamental principle, or is basically the fundamental premise of language. ভাষার মূল উদ্দেশ্যই হচ্ছে সংযোগ স্থাপন করা, ডায়ালগ তৈরি করা, যোগাযোগ স্থাপন করা. তো এই যোগাযোগ স্থাপনের মূল উদ্দেশ্য তখনই সফল হবে যদি ভাষাটা এক রকমের হয়, অর্থাৎ এই ভাষার একটা জেনারেল স্ট্যান্ডার্ড প্রিন্সিপল থাকে. সো যখনই ডিফারেন্ট ভ্যারাইটি অফ আ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ উইল বি লেসেন্ড, কম হবে, যখনই এই ভ্যারাইটিগুলো একটা স্ট্যান্ডার্ড স্পেলিং সিস্টেম, একটা স্ট্যান্ডার্ড গ্রামাটিক্যাল সিস্টেমের মধ্যে আসবে, তখনই স্ট্যান্ডার্ডাইজেশন ইজ পসিবল. ফর এক্সাম্পল, we generally speak like I am Arindam Ghosh. For example, you are Soumen Mojumdar or you are Somiron. So এই যে I am, আমি বলছি না I are Arindam Ghosh. এই যে গ্রামাটিক্যাল এবং সিনট্যাক্সের একটা নির্দিষ্ট স্ট্রাকচার রয়েছে, এই স্ট্রাকচার ধরে আমি এগোচ্ছি, এটাকেই আমরা বলতে পারি এক ধরনের স্ট্যান্ডার্ড সেট অফ গ্রামাটিক্যাল রুলস, এক ধরনের স্ট্যান্ডার্ড প্রেসক্রিপশনস অফ স্পেলিংস. আমি ডায়রিয়াকে DIARRHOEA লিখতে বাধ্য, DIAREA লিখতে নয়. তো এই যে ডিফারেন্ট কাইন্ড অফ স্পেলিংসকে একটা জায়গায় আনা, লোকজন ভুল স্পেলিং করতে পারে, ভুল গ্রামার করতে পারে. তো এই ভুলগুলোকে যাতে মানে একটা স্ট্যান্ডার্ড সেট অফ রুলস থাকে, ভুলগুলোকে যাতে চিহ্নিত করা যায় যেটা ভুল, সেইখানেই স্ট্যান্ডার্ডাইজেশন অফ দি ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের কথা এই পার্টিকুলার কনটেক্সটে এইভাবে আমরা ডিফাইন করতে পারি. বাট ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ দ্যাট ইজ টুডে is a product of the evolution of many ages. It's basically the product of the various historical developments. Some of the famous historical developments are, first, the Christianization of Britain in 597 AD by Saint Augustine. The second is, of course, the invasions of the Roman invasion previously from 43 to 410 AD, and of course then the Christianization of the Britain, then the invasion of the Anglo-Saxon people, then the invasion of the Viking people and the settlement of Viking people. Viking means Scandinavians, those who are from Denmark, Sweden and Norway, and then of course the Norman conquest, which left a tremendous influence on the English language. The Northmen, the people from the Normandy invaded Britain, and from 1066 English became actually the language of the poor people, and French became the language of the aristocrats. So basically English language is a product of various historical periods. The English language which stands today, the contemporary English language of suppose 2020, is a product of these historical changes. But perhaps the most prominent change that was brought into the standardization of the English language is the introduction of the printing press by William Caxton in the Britain in 1476. It radically altered the paradigm of language, because printing means it increased the reading audience. Printing means democratization of the knowledge, and hence it demands growing standardization of the grammatical, phonetic and other rules. So the basic need for standardization actually springs from the need for communication. So from this need of the communication, the necessity of standardizing a language originates. But while objecting to a standard English, many people object to the word standard English, actually do not distinguish between standard English and standardized English. It is true that there is not and never could be a standardized English, but there is such a thing called standard English. For example, we do not use childs as plural of the child, though historically it is more correct, because historically it is more correct than children. So we use children. We don't use I are, we use I am. So this is the basic definition, and these are some of the examples of standardization. Now let us begin discussing about the various processes of standardization. What is standardization? We now know about it. Now we have to discuss about the various processes and mechanisms of standardization. The standardization process proceeds in 4 interlinked and often overlapping stages. These stages are applicable not only to the growth of the English standard, but also to the growth of the standard varieties everywhere. And here we shall discuss only about the former. So some of the stages of the standardization of the English language are: first is known as selection. What is selection? Selection of the East Midland dialect as the dominant variety. So there were many varieties of the English language. After the Middle English period, Chaucer and others selected the East Midland dialect variety as the standard variety of the English language. So first mechanism is selection. Second is, of course, the acceptance. The acceptance of the functions of the standard. So acceptance is a very important paradigm, because you have to accept the standard variety. The people have to accept. So acceptance of a particular standard variety among people. লোকজনকে সেটাকে নিতে হবে, লোকজন সেটা accept করবে, সেটা মেনে নেবে, তবেই সেই acceptance হবে. So first selection, then acceptance. The third is elaboration of the functions of the standard language. একটা language is a science system. এটা শুধুমাত্র তো created হলেই হলো না, তৈরি হলেই হলো না, তার elaboration of the system, সিস্টেমটাকে বড় করতে হবে। কিভাবে এই elaboration possible? By expanding vocabulary, by expansion of the grammatical rules, by through the process of introducing various robustness in the using of language, তবেই possible. Elaboration of the functions of the standard of the language. And of course, very important, fourth mechanism is the codification. What is codification? That is the attempt to fix the standard variety through publishing various dictionary and grammar books. বিভিন্ন ব্যাকরণ বই এবং ডিকশনারির মাধ্যমে আস্তে আস্তে এই লিঙ্গুইস্টিক রুলসগুলোর কোডিফিকেশন, এই লিঙ্গুইস্টিক রুলগুলোর কোডিফিকেশন যাতে প্রোপাউন্ড করা যায়। ফর এক্সাম্পল, some of the most religions are essentially oral in nature. At the beginning of any religious society in the world, religion সবসময় লোকের মুখে মুখে orally ঘুরতো, কিন্তু আস্তে আস্তে they implemented codified rules. Hebrew Bible, King James's Bible, যেখানে religious regulation and rules and the history of that particular religion codified অবস্থায় লিপিবদ্ধ থাকতে আরম্ভ করতো। So selection of the particular variety, acceptance of the functions of that standard variety, elaboration of the functions of the standard, elaboration of the grammatical and the spelling rules, and of course codification, that is to create a standard variety through the publication of various dictionary and grammar books. So these are some of the basic functions of towards propounding a standard variety of the English language. So let us begin with the selection of the standard variety. The origins of the standard variety of the English lie with the merchant class based in the London. So the merchant class people actually created this standardization of the English because they have to communicate with other peoples. These merchant peoples have to travel from one land down to the another. They have to speak with many peoples, and hence the need for standardization actually began first with the merchant class people. And the dialect they spoke was the East Midland variety, the one associated at first with the Norfolk and later with the Northamptonshire, Leicestershire, Bedfordshire. So these are some of the counties of England where the standard variety of the English language developed, and already by the 14th century this was a class dialect within the city of the London. The lower class spoke another dialect of English, a southeastern variety, the antecedent of the Cockney language, which is a more I would say a much more rough variety of the English language, sounds very rude in nature. So the dialects were similar in many respects, but there were some regular differences. For instance, the merchant would say mill with the short I of pin, so mill, not meal. But the tradesman said mell with the E of the pen, long E of the pen, so mell. It is crucial to emphasize this linguistic stratification in London. This is a form of stratification, just like the economic stratification. This is a linguistic stratification. লোকের উচ্চারণ দেখে তুমি বুঝতে পারবে সে কোন ক্যাটাগরিতে বিলং করে, সে ট্রেডসম্যান নাকি সে is a lower class people, তুমি সেটা কথার উচ্চারণ দেখে বুঝতে পারবে। So since the subsequent history of the standard variety has much to do with its relationship to the speech of the Londoner in the street, আমরা সবসময় জানি যে কোনো একটা পার্টিকুলার দেশের রাজধানী, তার ক্যাপিটাল মানেই হচ্ছে the seat of power, the seat of controlling authority, the seat of administration and judiciary. তারাই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজকে চিরকাল কন্ট্রোল করে। ফর এক্সাম্পল, বাংলা বলতে আমরা বুঝি the variety, the standardized variety of Kolkata. Standard variety of Bangla bolte Kolkata variety, not the Birbhumian dialect, not the Purulian dialect. So naturally London ke seat of power, seat of controlling authority bole dhore newar phole from the 14th century onwards this East Midland dialect which originated from London, take dhore neওয়া holo standard variety of the English language. And by the end of the 14th century the East Midland was an embryonic written standard. However, there were variations within that particular dialect. So at first we see in use a number of different written standards, but after 1430, however, one of these variants become increasingly dominant because of its use in government and official documents. So within the East Midland dialect there are various dialects, but a single dialect later emerged, and some of the two main universities of England, students from all over England came together in the two universities of Oxford and Cambridge, both only a few miles from London. in the triangle formed by these three centres, Oxford, Cambridge and London, a great deal of East Midland speech would have been heard and possibly used as a kind of lingua franca, that is the official language among a mobile social group. So language মানেই হচ্ছে পাওয়ার, পাওয়ার মানেই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। যারা ক্ষমতায় থাকে তারা চিরকাল ভাষাকে নিয়ন্ত্রণ করে, এভাবেই ভাষা নিয়ন্ত্রিত হয় ক্ষমতার দ্বারা। আমি আগেই বলেছি, ফর এক্সাম্পল দ্য ক্লাসিক্যাল ল্যাটিন and the Greek, why they are so much popular yet now? Because some of the greatest thinkers like Aristotle, Plato, pre-Socratic thinkers, Empedocles, Herodotus and the others, Democritus, Heraclitus, they have created their philosophies and their thinking through the Greek language, and hence Greek language, though is a dead language, is yet popular now because of its exercise of power in a completely different way, in a different manner. So এখানেও ইংল্যান্ডেও অক্সফোর্ড, কেমব্রিজ, these two modern universities, and of course the city of the London, they are the centers of trade and the business. From there a standardization of the English language arrived. A survey of the folk songs from the 16th century to the present reveals that the linguistic medium for the folk song is one which does not on the whole reflect regional differences. Apart from these regional and social economic factors, there is also a political dimension to the question of the selection of the standard variety. As has been seen in the France and the Spain, in England too, a standard emerged when ideas about nationhood and political autonomy gained currency. So when the idea of a single nationhood emerged, at official language in need তখন তৈরি হয়, এবং সেখান থেকেই selection of this East Midland variety of the English language. So East Midland variety has been selected as a standardized version of the English language. You have to remember this. A 2 marks question can be asked. 2 নম্বরের প্রশ্ন আসতে পারে। The second is the acceptance of the standard. By about middle of the 15th century, the East Midland dialect had been accepted as a written standard by those who wrote official documents. But its acceptance was not explicit. It was a matter of convention rather than a diktat. So it was not dictated by the official authority, but rather it becomes a convention. And by the 16th century, the standard variety was well established in the domain of the literature. Major-most literary writers like William Shakespeare, like Christopher Marlowe and other university wits, they wrote on this particular variety. A comparison between the literary outputs of the Elizabethans with that of the 14th century writers, like for example Chaucer or medieval metrical romances, would clearly show you that, for instance, Chaucer wrote in a dialect quite different from the dialect in which Langland wrote. There was much regional diversity in terms of vocabulary, grammar, especially in the English literature of the 14th century. But if we compare the writings of the Shakespeare with that of the Marlowe or other university wits, we will not find some major differences. Hence, it clearly showed that by the 16th century, this standardized variety of the English language was arrived. Thus, the establishment of a literary standard paved the way for fixing the sense of a linguistic norm. Once the norm had been established, at least in the written language, it became possible to break it for the stylistic purposes, in particular for representing the speech of the people from far away regions whose language was supposed to have certain clearly identifiable characteristics. So this acceptance of the standard variety therefore occasions a rejection of all kinds of English that are felt to be outside of the norm. এই নর্মের বাইরে যে সমস্ত লিঙ্গুইস্টিক সিস্টেম বিলং করছিল, সেই নর্মের বাইরে থাকা অন্যান্য ভ্যারাইটি অফ দ্য ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ actually leads to this rejection of all forms of English because of the valorization of this form of English. Thus, while Chaucer could objectively depict the speech of the people whose dialect was not his own, it was otherwise in the 16th century. For instance, one dialect which was singled out by playwrights and others as the bard for a chief laugh was Kentish. Kentish language ke ek shomoy literary language e hasha hoto. In Shakespeare's play King Lear, a canonical tragedy which you will read later perhaps in the master degree, a character Edgar actually speaks in the Kentish language. Edgar and Edmund were the two brothers, one half brother and one is the legitimate son of Kent. And we are immediately reminded here of King Lear, where Edgar speaks in the Kentish dialect to Oswald, evoking laughter in the audience. Sorry, he was speaking to Oswald, evoking laughter in the audience. Now, such literary practices reflect the growing awareness of a standard variety in the course of the 16th century. So, naturally, Shakespearean audience যখন এডগারের ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ শুনে হাসছে, it evokes laughter. So, আমাদের বুঝতে হবে যে in the 16th century, the audience of the London, when they are laughing, that means they were very much aware about the existence of a standard variety of English. Standard variety of English language, তখন in the 16th century, চালু হয়ে গেছে. So, from this kind of acceptance of the standard variety of the English language, we will now arrive into the elaboration of function. Now, at this stage, there was an attempt to achieve one of the two major goals of the standardization. What are they? The first is the maximal usage in function. In elaboration, you have to maximize your usage or your function, because the new standard had to function in the domains of the law, in the areas of the governance, in the areas of the religion, scholarship, education, everywhere. So একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ তখনই বড় ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হয় যখন it can provide resources to various professions. Professions relating to engineering, professions relating to medicine, law, governance, administration and others. যত বেশি wide variety হবে তত বেশি naturally তার মধ্যে অনেক register থাকবে. Register means the professional and contextual use of the language. For example, আমি যদি বলি example of register, আমি যদি বলি I can perceive an audible peristalsis in my lower abdomen. আমার পেটটা গুড়গুড় করছে. The Howrah Bridge is constructed in the cantilever manner. যেরকম ভাবে ক্রিয়েট করা হয়েছে দুদিকে মেজার করে, এমন ভাবে ক্রিয়েট করা হয়েছে হাওড়া ব্রিজকে দুদিকে টেনে রেখে তাকে বলা হয় ক্যান্টিলিভার. মেজারমেন্টটা ওয়েটটা দুদিকে চলে গেছে, একদিকে হাওড়া একদিকে কলকাতা. তো এইভাবে elaboration of the function of the language is possible. So each group of the specialists in a society, like for example lawyers, writers of the religious texts, administrators, cultivated their own registers within this particular standard. So the major source of this elaboration of function is actually variation. Thus the major source of variation was no more regional, as different styles developed their own particularities. Now often these were influenced by Latin and the French usage. For instance, the English of religion and law were greatly influenced by these foreign usage. And in short, English vocabulary became differentiated to an extent previously unknown, in that words can be identified as literary or legal and technical in one sphere or another. So for the first time in the history of the English language, the specialized mode of vocabulary for the first time were introduced, whether in the means of literary, legal or technical language in one sphere or in another. So this differentiation between a technical vocabulary and a non-technical vocabulary can for the first time be distinguished. প্রথমে এই ডিফারেন্সটা বোঝা গেল টেকনিক্যাল ভোকাবুলারি এবং নন টেকনিক্যাল ভোকাবুলারির মধ্যে ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন দেখে. Now let us have a look at certain elaboration of the functions of the standard as it developed in the domains previously associated with the French and the Latin. For the first time in 1362, English was used for the first time in the domains of both the government and the law. 1362 প্রথম ইউজ করা হলো ইংলিশ, because I've already discussed with you after the Black Death বহু ওয়ার্কিং ক্লাস লোকের প্রয়োজন হলো, এরকম একটা এপিডেমিকের পরে গোটা পৃথিবীতে, তখন বিশেষ করে ইংল্যান্ডে ব্ল্যাক ডেথের পরে প্রচুর পরিমাণে সাধারণ মানুষের প্রয়োজন হলো যারা ওয়ার্কিং ক্লাস লেবার ক্লাস পিপল। তার আগে নরমান কনকোয়েস্টের আগে ফ্রেঞ্চ বিকেম দ্য অফিসিয়াল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ and English become the language of the lower classes. But for now, the use of the French in the written documents continued the 18th century. And today, legal English still employs French and Latin terminology like fee simple and habeas corpus. So, এইরকম ভাবে আস্তে আস্তে elaboration of the function of the language ঘটতে থাকে। Secondly, through the use of the English as a literary medium was apparent by the end of the 16th century. The acceptance of its potential in this respect was won after a great deal of controversy. Again, Latin verb, Latin terminology use করা হতো। After the, of course, advent of Shakespeare and Marlowe, a standardization of the English language এর পরে English as a literary language ও emerge করতে আরম্ভ করে। The crucial stage, it has been suggested, in functional elaboration is the development of a medium for the serious expository prose, inspired by the example of the authorized version of the Bible published in 1611. 1611 এ authorized version of the Bible এর পরে আস্তে আস্তে prose language এও এই English language ছড়াতে আরম্ভ করে। And a significant aspect of the trend was the increased use of English writing of a scientific and scholarly nature. So by the end of the 17th century, the range had expanded to imaginative fictional writing. প্রথমবার 17th century পরে imaginative fictional writing এর মধ্যে English language ছড়িয়ে যেতে আরম্ভ করে। So you can clearly trace how this elaboration of the function of the language is gradually expanding from the language of the Chaucer. It has expanded into a purely literary language in the hands of the Shakespeare through the use of the various new idiomatic expressions and other uses. Shakespeare এই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটাকে একটা অন্য ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে ট্রান্সফর্ম করেছেন, এবং by the 17th century and later in the 18th century, novel as a literary genre emerged in the 18th century, and of course English became a very popular medium of expressing oneself, and by the end of the 17th century the range had expanded to imaginative and fictional writing. So with the displacement of the Latin as the language of scholarship, English gradually became the language of education, and various grammar schools were founded, and there was a gradual loosening of the church's hold on the institutions of the learning and literacy. So for the first time, the ecclesiastical and the theological power over the educational institutions lessened, aste aste komte arambho korlo, and the growth of the secular education increased the demand for learning English. Moreover, the Protestant Reformation promoted the English language as a medium of religious instruction. Previously, Latin was the medium of religious instruction, but after the growth of the secular education, and of course after Protestant movements throughout the entire Europe, English language gradually accepted as the medium of religious instruction. So, instead, in the literary and cultural renaissance of the 16th century, Latin became the object of renewed interest and enthusiasm, but it had received a fresh boost after the Renaissance. But paradoxically, enthusiasm for Latin ultimately furthered the cause of English, because it led to the massive translations into English. সবাই তো ল্যাটিন জানতো না, ফলে ল্যাটিন থেকে ইংলিশে যে ট্রান্সলেশন, যে অনুবাদের কাজটা, সেটা হতে লাগলো। এইভাবে আস্তে আস্তে ইংরেজি ভাষাটা চারিদিকে ছড়িয়ে পড়ল। So third mechanism of standardization is elaboration of the functions of the language. Gradually moving into the fourth stage, the last stage of this kind of mechanism of standardization is codification. Codification is the final stage of the process of standardization. What is codification? We have already discussed that codification is actually basically in this practice, this process is basically to eliminate variation within the standard and creating a form of codified regulation. So through the elimination of the variation, codification introduced. At the same time, codification also means written rules and regulations through various grammatical books, through various dictionaries. Codification has generally been undertaken by a very small elite group of scholars, and the method used by them is that of the prescription. They are generally either linguists or dictionary makers or great scholars. তারা এই কোডিফিকেশনের কাজ করে। সাধারণ মানুষ কোডিফিকেশনের কাজ লিঙ্গুইস্টিক প্রসেসের মধ্যে খুব একটা করে না। The evaluation of the variance as correct and the elimination of the variance which for some reasons are failed to be undesirable. Some of the great codifiers of English language, Dr. Samuel Johnson's dictionary published in 1755 is not only of great importance in this field of the field of the spelling standardization, but also in the realm of the codification of the words and the meanings. Dr. Johnson's contribution lies in the fact that he provided an alphabetical list of all the words in the standard language with their meanings. So Dr. Samuel Johnson's dictionary for the first time introduced in 1755. Now, in spite of the fact that sometimes he is frivolous, prejudiced and wrong, his work is a landmark in the history of the standardization of the English language. Some of the great examples of these treatise makers are Joseph Priestley's The Rudiments of English Grammar, published in 1761, Robert Lowett's Short Introduction to the English Grammar, published in 1762, John Ash's Grammatical Institutes, এই নামগুলো একটু মনে রাখতে হবে, 1763. So these are some of the great treatises of the 18th century grammarians যেটা ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজকে কোডিফাই করতে সাহায্য করেছিল. Their main aim and objective to codify the principles of the language and reduce it to certain rules, to settle disputed points. Disputed means controversial points, যেগুলো বিতর্কিত জায়গা গ্রামারের, সেগুলোকে সেটেল করা, and to decide cases of divided usage. So variation কমানো, ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ বাড়ি বাড়ি ধরা যাক পুরুলিয়ান ভ্যারাইটি বীরভূমের থেকে ডিফারেন্ট, বীরভূমিয়ান ভ্যারাইটি জলপাইগুড়ির থেকে ডিফারেন্ট, এইটাকে আস্তে আস্তে কীভাবে কমানো যায়, and to point out certain common errors. So this is basically the four golden rules of, so these are the four golden rules of the standardization process in the English language. What are they? Selection, acceptance, elaboration and codification. Selection of a particular dialect. In the case of the English, it is the selection of the East Midland dialect as the dominant variety. Second is the acceptance of the functions of that standard. সেটাকে অ্যাকসেপ্ট করে নেওয়ার জন্য কতটা সম্ভব পপুলারাইজ করানো সেই ভ্যারাইটিকে। Then the elaboration of the functions of the standardized language by introducing various grammatical rules and other things. Elaboration of the vocabulary, and of course the last stage is codification. That is the attempt to fix the standard variety through very introduction of various dictionary books and the grammar books. So selection, acceptance, elaboration and codification. So thank you. I end my lecture here. The standardization process of the English language. আমরা সেক্ষেত্রে বর্ধমান বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের যে ফার্স্ট সেকশনের অধিকাংশটাই পড়ে ফেললাম। হিস্ট্রি অফ দ্য ইংলিশ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের ব্রিফ ওভারভিউ আমরা অলরেডি দিয়েছি। আই হ্যাভ অলরেডি গিভেন ইউ a brief overview of the evolution of the English language. I have discussed also with you in the previous lecture about the semantic shift and semantic change. I have discussed with you about the standardization of the English language. In the next lecture, I will discuss with you outgrowing gender bias. Okay? Thank you. Bye for now. Stay well, stay fine and stay confident. See you in the next lecture. Bye bye.